Open the sheet, enable macros. The user guide for your reference on the last tab describes functions of each sheet and other buttons that you will use. The buttons are in the Excel ribbon under the Style Group tab. Here they are, and I'll let you know what they do as we come across them. When you start a new project, you set up your codes on this sheet here. You enter your items, their number, their description, all other details. Once you're done, you click Update. So everything is blank now. It should all look like this. Blank template, everything is empty. So on the codes, choose start date. Enter that initially manually, and should be a Monday's date. Project number, project name. These values come across automatically to the other sheets straight away. Now if you try to type them here, hopefully it won't let you, because we don't want to erase the link to our code sheets. We don't want to accidentally break that link. That's why they're locked. Items. You can enter the items, their number in any order, and anything you type initially will be in green until you give it a unit of measure. So the walls are in green, unit of measure, they turn black. That's for two reasons. They just stand out. It tells you that you haven't set up the values here. And another reason you'll find out later on is when you click this payroll label data button, any items that have been entered in the payroll database by someone other than yourself and they're not on your code sheet will appear in here, and they will appear in green simply because they are new and you haven't assigned them a unit of measure, and that's how you spot them. Anything entered in bold here, in capital, in here, will turn bold on the other sheets as a header. So let's just continue adding some items here. Sockets. Now I'm just going to put something out of order, say here. And I'm doing that for a reason. I just want to show you what happens. Right, we'll stop here. So we've got two items that are in capitals. I could just get rid of that here. I'm going to use those as headers. Now I want these values to come across my other worksheets. I click Update, and that's it. They're done. If I go to here, walls in bold, 1, 2, 3, 10, 11. So they're in order now, even though the last one was out of order. And anything in capitals becomes bold. You could use them as headers. The LPD tab pulls all its information automatically from the other sheets. The only manual data entry you do in here is this and this scope change and a DC column. DC. That's the only place you can type. If we try to type anywhere else, it shouldn't let us. The description, the item number, the unit of measure all came from our setup, and all other values come from different places. For example, the installed this period here it is, comes from the weekly quantity. For example, under the sockets on Tuesday there were 10, and Friday we've done 20. There we go. It just comes there automatically. The wires say on Thursday we've done 100 meters, and wires 100 meters. The target variation will come from the variation sheet. So this is the variation sheets. Each variation, I should say, has a target and budget. Target 1, budget 1, target 2, budget 2. So what goes to the LPD sheets is any values under target. For example, plugs, variation 1 there were 10, and variation 3 there were 40, that's 50, and they will appear under the variations, target variations hours on the LPD. The next sheet is the LAR, it's to do with the budget. Everything here again comes from different sheets. The budget variation hours comes from the variation sheet, except this time from the B columns. And there's one more thing to do here. For example, wires. I just put 100 here and just leave it like that. I'm not going to see anything come through. The only budget variation that will go to the LAR sheet are those that are approved. Now, someone enters them in there, and then they get approved. Once to approve them, you double click them, and they turn green. And notice approved total 100. Let's say I want to approve this one, and there's one here that's not approved. All up there is 160, 150 are in green. So the 150 would come through here, the approved variations of the budget. To take away the approval, double click it again. We've only got 50 approved, and there it is, 50. Total to date used and total to date percent completed are automatically pulled from the LPD sheet. Total used are the percent completed. So that will come from the sheet, from this value here. Once there are values, they will pop up on the sheet. Weekly quantity, we've seen that one. Now, this weekly quantity should be used once per week. So every week, ideally, you'd create a new period, which I'll explain later, and you put in your quantities in there, and they will appear where they're meant to appear on the other sheet. The variations, we touched on how to use it, and there's one more thing. If let's say you need more than 5 variations, let's say I need 10 or even 50 or 100, I want to increase them. I click this button here, variations, button here, and enter the number to expand it by. So now I have 15 variations. On plugs, I'm going to put 100 and approve it. Expect to see that here. We do. Let's say I need 100 variations now. We're well into the project. you have the 100 variations added. You can scroll away. Your description will always be frozen, so you can leave that wherever you're up to, and the variations could extend as many as you like. Payroll hours. Now, this is the sheet here. There are no values there, and it has also something related to this sheet here. What these payroll hours, they feed into one of these sheets, into this period, man hours. So the way it works, we click the payroll labor data button there, and that should pull the payroll hours for this week. Click the payroll hours. Now notice here, this particular area on the setup codes, there's nothing there. When I click the payroll hours, if that's blank, it means no payroll database being set up for this file, and you'll see this message. So it's telling me to set up a payroll database. This is only needs to happen once. It's trying to connect to the work server. I'm just going to manually point it to my files wherever I've got them. And here's my test database. So there's two things that are going to happen now. Remember how I told you that if there's something in the database that's not on the code sheet, it will appear. Well, all these new items in green are from my test database. I pulled all these new items. They're in green because I haven't set them up. They've been added to my codes. They haven't been added there yet because I haven't clicked update to synchronize. But let's go back to the payroll hours. So it pulled that item number 1 had 72 hours. So what I need to do is synchronize my sheets again here. I'm going to have probably a problem because I've got a couple of items with the same number. It's taken a bit longer this time. I've got more than 4 items. So these payroll hours should be pulled over here. For example, item number 8 has 17 hours. Item number 8, 17. Item 12 has 8. There we are. Anything that has hours in the payroll database would appear here. Also, these values are brought over here, and normally that you'll have more than one entry per item. For example, item number 1 might have few entries for different weeks. But for my test data, there's only 1 week there, 1 item, 1 hours. Over here, ignore this side, ignore these here. This will be a long list eventually. But over here is a summary. So it will sum up if item number 1, let's say there was another item number 1 with 1000. This one should appear like that. Item, only 1 entry for number 1, and it's a sum of this, and this, and it will give you a summary for all the items. Now, what you could do here, you could sort it by item from smallest to biggest. You could also select by week. We only have 1 week here. You can select multiple weeks if you had more than 1 week, or you can select all. At the moment we only have 1 week, so that's all you're going to see. But over time you'll have more data to look at. So we've covered the payroll hours tab and the hours to date tab. Now the new period. After you've imported your payroll hours and you've done all your data entry here and you're ready for a new week, you will press, well, first of all you probably save a copy, which I'll talk about later after this. You'll save a copy as a snapshot for the week 19, and then you go a new period. Now by default this will pick up next Monday's date. Today is actually the 14th. It's given me the 20th because you're meant to do this once a week. And but let's say you skip some time and you say, you know, I'm backtracking. I'm going to put Monday. It'll be the 10th of May. You can overwrite that entry and click OK. Now what's happened there, everything's been updated to week 20 now. All those will have that value on it, and all the values from this period will get moved to the previous period. So anything that has this period will be blanked out and be moved to previous period. The weekly quantity will be cleared out, new sheet for a new week. Variation will remain as they are, and payroll hours will be cleared out. Hours to date, they'll stay there because they're not going to cause any harm, but the payroll hours being cleared out simply because we don't want to see them there anymore because this is a new period. After that, there's one more thing I haven't spoken about, the save. This you do before creating a new period to save a snapshot. So it will create a file name with the project number and the week number. Or the date actually, the date here. I don't know if you want to change that to the week number or the date. And it will take you to the directory where you are. I'm not going to save it, but you do that every time before you create a new period. After you import your payroll data, you enter all your variation and all the weekly quantities. You save it. You save a snapshot as a backup. You click create a new period, and every week you should have a file. The graph tab. Now, this is related to the new period. Every time I click a new period, whatever totals I have in these columns here will be copied with the date. So we had the 3rd of May, and I've got these totals there. For example, if nothing changed and I go a new period, and let's leave it as that. So it's going to move everything across, copies the same values there because I haven't changed anything. And that should graph some sort of pattern, and you'll have a running history of target per man hour day compared from week to week, this period, actual, which would be coming from these columns here. And that's the general overview. Hope you enjoy it.